Welcome to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, thanks for joining us this week. So change, right? We all panic when we hear that word, whether we choose change or change is thrust upon us. It's hard to navigate those turbulent waters. So to help you on your journey, I have my free communication style assessment. It will show you or illustrate in the report your superpower, how you show up, how people perceive you. Flip side, you will get a blind spot. You will get the lowest score on your chart, and you'll get that report as well, shining the light on things that usually we're not aware of. Again, it's my free communication style assessment. Go to whitmanassociates.com/CSA, and that will be in the show notes for you, my gift for you. So today's quote is actually by Oscar Wilde, and he says, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people just exist." So recently I was asked how I built a life and a business that I actually still love today. And wow, that kind of made me pause. I had never thought about that simultaneously, building a life and building a business at the same time. You know, we just live and do. And I think for me, I had never thought of the two areas as separate. What happened, Jen? What happened? Are you there? Jen, are you there? Jen, oh, there you are. Are you back?
Okay.
back?
Yes, I'm back. I have no idea what that was. It seems like a glitch in some probably. Oh, why is that?
What?
In my internet? I have no idea why.
Are you okay now? I'll have him edit it out. It's not a big deal.
Okay, good. Okay, let's go.
All right, so we'll keep going. So,
Yeah.
Okay, Sam, now you could come back in. So I think for me, I had never thought of the two areas of my life as separate, right? Because I'm me and my business was me, supposedly. Now, weird, because of course, they really are two separate things. I have a wonderful, happy marriage. We're married 30 years, two great grown men. They're men now. And I have fun every day with them, of course, but also with my business. So the secondary question of, well, how did you build a business over the past 20 years that you actually still love today? And hopefully it's still growing, right? Continues to grow. For me, everything in life and business seems to change quickly. So needing to continue to grow, learn, adapt, and serve, for me to serve well, I believe has served my business. And my guest today, she's amazing. She poses the following questions that I feel are important for each of us to pause and reflect upon today. So number one, would you be okay with the eulogy describing your life exactly as it is today? And the second one, is there an arching voice inside of you insisting that you could actually love your life, or at the very least like it? Wow. Two super important questions. So who's my wonderful guests who have come up with these intriguing questions is Jennifer Hough. Jennifer is the president of the Wide Awakening, author of her new book, UNSTUCK, and founder of the largest integrative nutrition practice in Canada, and founded the first mentorship program for complementary entrepreneurs over 2 decades ago. She's an expert in practical applied science. Her passion is to make physics practical after working with mystics, scientists, and shamans from 8 different countries to free herself of her own struggles with chronic fatigue and self-sabotage. She's been on stages and podcasts and radio. She gets around, and she's my good friend, Jennifer. Please help me welcome her to the show. So Jen, thanks for being on.
So happy to be here, Connie. Truly, really happy to be here. It's an interesting time in our overall history as human beings, isn't it? Holy cow.
Holy cow. I keep saying to people, Jen, that since COVID, I feel like the world, we're all in a snow globe, and it's just being shaken, right? And everything is kind of in chaos, and we're trying to stabilize. Everybody's trying to stabilize themselves, whatever that means to you. So change, this is a big topic. And your book, UNSTUCK, I think is just a great answer. So my first question.
Yeah.
Now, I hear you have a great question. You start years with, will you please share with us? I have no idea what question you gave me.
Well, there's a question that I start, but first I want to comment on your snow globe thing.
Yeah.
all the little snowflakes, all of the aspects of consciousness, all the aspects of our lives, all the systems that are being challenged right now, health systems, economic systems, political systems, it's as though they're all up for revisioning, reevaluating. Family systems, how we are as a family, because we've been forced to be together, during
Yes.
COVID and all of that. So yeah, I see it exactly the same way. Everything is up in the air, and we have the capacity through it seems so like we as individuals seem like we're so small, and like we can't have that much of an impact on any of it, right? Because we're so small. We're just one person in almost 8 billion. Like, how can we have an impact? But it is one of my favorite quotes, even in the book. I think I put it twice. In the book, I put one that Rumi said, "You're not just a drop in the ocean. You're actually the ocean in a drop."
Yeah.
So
Love it.
what that is a spiritual way of saying something scientific. And the scientific thing is, we're each fractals of the whole. And that's not a woo-woo concept. The truth is, when you study advanced mathematics, there's something called fractals. And fractals mathematically show that every pattern in the universe is affected by every other pattern in the universe. So me as a pattern in the universe, in life, in civilization, the choices I make must change the whole mathematically.
Sure.
The same is true. It's easy to see, even if you're a drop in the water, if your drop changes, the entire rest of the ocean has to rearrange itself to become something new. And we're being given an opportunity to change the drop so the ocean changes. Right?
So our impact could be great, Jen.
So when we look out there and we think, I don't matter, sure, that's a perspective by which you can live. And you're also made of the atoms, the same replicated atoms, the exact same ones that came from the origins of the entire galaxy, of the entire space-time continuum. So if you're made of those exact same atoms, if you're made of those exact same atoms, on one level, from our little 3D reality here, maybe it looks like you don't matter, but you're also made from the original atoms of something that ever was. And as you have your life matter, as you, Connie, you're so beautiful. You literally have had your life and your business matter. And in having it matter, you've impacted so many because you've made meaning out of your life. And so that doesn't mean you're better. It doesn't mean you're worse. It just means that anyone can do that. I don't know about you. Do you ever feel in yourself that you're just an average, you're not, like, I don't feel special?
Nope. I agree. Connie, right? From New Jersey, little Connie Whitman from New Jersey, right?
Yeah. I'm Jenny Lynn from Montreal. I'm just this little Canadian chick, and so for me, it's choices in the everyday, and those choices multiplied over time can add up to something so massive. And they don't have to be big choices. They can be the little choices over time. That's exactly how I see my life. And so the only constant, and this is the last thing before I answer that question you asked, because it is a really big question, is that the only constant, and I'm sure everyone has heard this, the only constant in this universe is change. There are new galaxies being created, new species dying off, new species being birthed. There are new bacteria morphing right now. There are evolutions in our DNA to be able to cope with whatever's happening in the world. And if it's on every level, it's on the microcosmic level, it's on the macrocosmic level, it's on every level you can possibly imagine. So if we actually do not understand ourselves that way, and we operate from this bizarre idea that we're here to survive, survival means you're doing the opposite of the fabric of the universe. Because survival says, I want to take these resources that I have in my life and I want to try to control them and make sure that they stay the same, such that they're controllable, they're predictable, and that I'll be able to tell which way they're going to go. And if I just do that, then my life will be okay. And I will end up in my RV traveling around North America or wherever in the world, having my retirement. When in actuality, our alignment and our health, our well-being comes from being a creator who creates upon creation. Just being someone who, by definition, a creator, takes something that is and improves upon it or evolves it or looks at it a different way or finds a new perspective on it and then creates a reality that then reflects that, right? And so that is exactly how the entirety of existence works. So now we're in the flow with all of existence. You can imagine the synergy that starts to happen when we don't resist the snow globe being shaken once a day, 3 times a day, 5 times a day.
That's right.
And we start operating from curiosity on the adventure versus wrestling match on the trying to get things to stay the same.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I want to comment because I want everybody to really hear what you said about who am I? How do I affect anything? Right. I'm just Connie Whitman, New Jersey, right? Jen down in, you're in,
I'm in Asheville.
Where are you?
Asheville, North Carolina.
North Carolina, right?
I was born in Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah. But I knew you were in Carolina. I knew you were on the East Coast with me. So we think, what impact can we have? And I just share a really, really funny story. So last week, my husband and I, we had Verizon as a carrier, expensive. So we shopped around, we moved to T-Mobile. And the gentleman was helping us. Nothing is ever easy when you're converting over. My son didn't upload his phone. It was a mess, right? So we're there for hours. It was hours. The gentleman that was helping us, he was amazing. And his mom comes in. And so we're chatting with her as he's uploading. There was a lot of downtime. We had to wait for the phones to do what they had to do to convert.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we started talking, and they also lived in Homedale, which is where I grew up. I went to school. My kids went to school. And as soon as this is like, we're about 3 hours in, and something about Homedale. And she says, oh my God, I lived on Crescent. We lived on Telegraph Hill.
No.
Wait, it gets even better. She said, you're probably not going to know her, but do you know? And she used my aunt's name. And I said, and I said the proper name. She goes, yes. And I said, that's my aunt. She goes, stop it. I said, that's my aunt. She goes, she was an aide for my grandmother 25 years ago.
Come on.
So isn't that, so here's the thing, the world is getting smaller. And then as we were talking now to this guy, right, from a different frame of reference, he knew my cousin's son, who's out in Hawaii now with 3 kids of their own. They stay in contact. It was like this whole world became microcosmic, that she knew family members. Yeah. How does that happen? So we matter and we impact the bigger scale, whether we realize it or not. So I just wanted to comment on that. That was one of those, like, what just happens? Blow my mind. But it's exactly what you're saying. We're so all connected, whether we want to think we are or not, we are.
Yeah, we are. Even, there's so many different ways of explaining it. You just described the 6 degrees of separation theory, right? There's the fractal mathematic theory. There's the photonic theory, where we emanate photon packages of light that distribute information around the world 7 times in a second.
Yep.
And we receive that information. So every time we evolve, the information gets distributed around the world. So our evolutions become available to all of humanity every time we have a new awareness. There are multitudes. So that's the other piece of, it's probably why I wrote the book. It's not probably why, it is why. The reason is that people feel hopeless, but because I've studied the mathematics of this and the physics of this and the biophysics of this, I started to understand that this is not a time of hopelessness. This is actually the opposite. It's a time of massive opportunity to make change, but it takes everybody to be conscious enough to understand how it all works, such that before those little snowflakes land in that snow globe, we actually create the stage. We actually are creating our own private infrastructure to have those snowflakes land in a way where, it's the perfect snow drifts and the perfect whatever until the
Yes,
next time there's
that's
a
right.
global snowflake alert. But
Why did you write the book now, Jen? Was there a catalyst? Was there a moment? Like, why now?
oh my God, I might cry over this one. You asked me
Oh,
that question. I never thought of it as a moment, but there was a moment. I didn't put this in the book. I put a couple of things in the book that were other things, but this is about my mom. So my mom and dad live in Northern Ontario, and my mom and dad were watching the news all the time, and they were getting completely overwhelmed and really worried for the world.
yeah,
And they're 80,
yeah,
that's not a time for your speaking, talk about poor adrenal function. You know, they were getting depleted. I was before my eyes. I would have Zoom calls with them because I'm in the United States. And then I couldn't go and see them. And I thought, all of the millions of people that can't see the people that they love,
absolutely. Oh,
and the
tough.
stressors, right? And then those people are by themselves, a lot of elderly people by
Yeah,
themselves watching the news, just like my parents, and
yes,
freaking out.
yeah,
And then their children, who might be in their 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s even, kind of going, what is happening here? And I knew, for me, everything I know about physics and math and the way the world works transcends the need to be in anxiety. It allows us to stay in the place of wonder and curiosity on the adventure in this world, to be able to find the solutions necessary to maintain connection to our greater wisdom and the reason we were born, no matter how much is going on in the world. That's what the book is about. And if we
yeah,
can do that, then we can stay in the space of solutions rather than in the space of freaking out and looking at other people to change so that we can feel comfortable. That's all a war is. A war is, you need to change so I can feel more comfortable. I'm uncomfortable with several things. It's just an egoic, a
yes,
very advanced egoic,
yes,
conversation, but it's just an ego gone wild. The same thing happens with 3-year-olds that throw temper tantrums. It's the exact same mechanism. It's just that it never got checked. So whatever wars are going on in your community, whatever, where people are fighting on Facebook or whatever they're doing, nothing ever got changed when two egos got together. Ever,
absolutely.
ever,
Amen.
ever, ever. And what this book does is it allows us to stay in the land of possibility, looking for solutions.
Yeah.
And if we can just get, a few million people to that place, all of a sudden the whole world changes. And this book is really an access point to that. It's I don't know if you found this. You talk to lots of people too. But haven't you found, see, this makes me so upset. Haven't you found that there are people out there that feel so disempowered and they
Yes.
have nowhere to put their energy? They feel like the world is falling apart and they're waiting for some leader or some person that's smarter or bigger or perceptively, of course, because that's not even true, to actually take charge of the whole thing. And they give their power away to political leaders. And they're not the ones that are going to change the world. We are.
That's
So
right.
this book is for those people who want to know that or do know it and want the tools to be able to do it.
Yeah, and your teaching and everything, I always found, Jen, the first time we met and you invited me to a workshop and class you were doing, and it was profound. I mean, it's a profound experience. So everybody understands law of attraction, right? So I know that you mentioned that with the book, it's kind of like law of attraction 2.0. Plus you explain that reference in terms of what's going on in the world right now. So everybody has turned, law of attraction, law of attraction. If I think it and dream it, it will happen. There's
baloney.
a caveat. Yeah, right. Like, okay, let's get real.
When you understand physics and science, I mean, we're such a consumerist society, right? We want things packaged so that it sounds awesome and we could eat it right away, or we could build it right away, or we could buy it right away.
Right.
And in truth, I appreciate movies like The Secret because they caused people who probably would never even have thought about the laws of physics to start thinking about it. And it's a stair step. However, the deeper understanding, not an evolution. It's not like law of attraction changed. It's more like our understanding of how it works is so much deeper than what most people think. And it's basically this. I mean, I always laugh when I say this because it's almost like I need to remind myself as well. Every single thing that happens in your life is a manifestation. There isn't anything that happens in your life that isn't a manifestation. Now, just like everybody breathe and lets you and I breathe, Connie, just breathe that through for a second. It's like there is not a single thing that happens in your life that is not a manifestation. Now, hopefully what we're all asking right now is, well, I didn't intend or envision half the things that happen in my life. That's my point, right? It's not about, it's great to have intention, but let's talk about intention in terms of something different. I think I said this on another show, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating. I'm in a get out of your own way. And this woman comes in on day 2, which back then there were 5 days of it. On day 2, she goes, "Oh my God, you won't believe it. This course is amazing. Look at what I did. My son found my old vision board and he opened it up and I looked at it and there was a red Ford F-150 on the thing. And look out in the parking lot. Look through the windows. Look what I'm driving." And this thing was like 3 years old and she had literally bought a F-150 like 6 months prior. And she said, "See, I intended, I had the vision board." I said, "Sweetie pie, can I tell you how physics works?" She said, "Oh, don't rain on my parade, Jennifer." And I said, "Girlfriend, let me just
got to keep it real."
Well, but it's better than what you think. So this is not peeing on anyone's cornflakes. Okay. So this is better than what you think. To put the pictures of the truck on your vision board or whatever it is, whatever it is that you put on your vision board, the body you want, all that. The fact that you put it on the vision board means that physics already knew that you were headed on the trajectory towards that truck anyways. And it got you the exact magazine with the exact picture, with the exact everything. So you'd put it on your vision board because human beings are so freaking egocentric that they think that the 3D-ness of them is the thing that manifested the truck, when actually it's the multi-D-ness of everyone that manifests the truck, whatever your truck is, and the multidimensional aspects of you, which don't care if your 3D self, wants to be the one that thinks that it did it, but your multidimensional aspects, the part of you that's connected to physics, to the smallest particles and the waveforms and the quarks, has already delivered you the magazine with the thing you're going to get anyways. So when we say everything in your life is already a manifestation, now how did she get to the place where she got the picture? Well, because wherever your frequency is, and I'm going to put it differently for people who are not into that kind of stuff, your mood, where the consistency of your mood, the consistency of your willingness to be in the vibration of the blessedness of life. Okay. So I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say it a different way. Your willingness to be present to all that there is to be grateful for as a consistent way of operating, your willingness to do that as opposed to collecting evidence for what's wrong is like a
Love it.
magnet for what it is that you desire, so that eventually you come to a place, or at least I can say I came to a place where I'm not really interested in manifesting what's on my vision board, because that's just me honestly, that's just me wanting to be in control and have predictable outcomes.
Yeah.
Or
it's always about control, Jen.
what? What are you talking about? Women particularly never do that. They never do that. So, but yeah, no, you're right. Often it is. And sometimes it's about trying to be at peace. So we're trying to manifest things that would change so that we can feel better. You know, maybe our son or our daughter is going through a hard time, or they're struggling with something. And it's like, okay, if only blah, blah, blah would happen, then I would feel better. But that's not really about their journey and what's happening for them. So we intend and we envision, when in actuality, now this is the crazy piece, okay? Think of the resources of the entirety of existence. You know, from the smallest particle, like subatomic waveforms and quarks that we're all made from.
Yeah.
It's not like they're moving through us. At one level, they are us. At one level, if you took a microscope strong enough, you wouldn't even see us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they are us. So at one level, there's a communication happening that's operating for our highest and best that we're three-dimensionally not involved in. And it responds to our level of connectedness and vigilance for what's good. And what happens is you become a magnet, you become tuned to the radio station where all the good is. And so in consciousness, there's no time and space reality. So the Ford truck was already done in physics. Do you get what I'm saying? The Ford truck was already a done deal in physics. So in 3D though, we're in the time space reality. So it had to, you know, for her to have fun with the truck, and consciousness already knew she would even be in the course. Consciousness even knew in perpetuity, I'd be sharing that story. Right?
Yes, because we think linearly. That's really not how the universe works, right?
Not at all.
So that's that, you know, that connectedness that you talked about. And the other thing, I give you credit, a couple of things, right? What your mom and dad went through with COVID. You know, my mom and dad are 91 and soon to be 93. God bless them. Yeah. And, you know, we wouldn't let them out of the house. It was craziness. And finally, my dad, at one point, you know, we just weren't going over. We're like, we got to protect you. He said, oh my God, stop it. He said, I want to see my grandkids. I want to see you guys. I want to have dinner with you. What do you mean I can't touch you and hug you? This is insanity. He goes, he was 90 at some, so I'm freaking not, like, I'm 90 years old. So let COVID kill me, because I'd rather live my life than hide. Be safe and not live.
I would probably say the same thing at 90. Honestly, right? I would probably say the same thing. I'd be like, who cares? Like,
but he got it, Jen, is my point. That wait, we have to keep, yes, should we take precautions? Yes. Should we wash our hands? I mean, all the things he was doing, right? You know, if he had to go to the doctor's office or whatever.
That's what makes him happy.
The family.
Right.
So, but that's living. And I think sometimes, and you said it before too, we work for people, we do things. Oh, I can't do that. Like we disempower ourselves because we think, well, no, the boss isn't going to like that. Did you ask? Right. Or my company will never go for that. How do you know? So I think we live from, well, they think, so I have to, right? Yes. I have to live in their model instead of saying, wait a minute, what is my life? What makes me happy? You know, and my dad was right. He's like, look, something else is going to kill me, not COVID. So let's have a party, you know, again, within reason, not just with his with us, you know, the immediate family. So again, you don't have to be risk taker or
No.
silly about things, but you still
No.
live your life.
Well, in fact, in our work, although this is getting a little too advanced for this conversation, but I'm going to introduce a concept that was
Sure.
first introduced to me by my friend Will Linville, which is doing what presents, doing what's presenting. Imagine the Ford truck, okay?
Yeah.
So imagine the red truck, okay? And imagine that at some point she had even forgotten it was even on her vision board. Right? So imagine that at some point her alignment matched
Yeah.
that kind of fun experience
Yeah.
of having that truck that she had always dreamed of having. And then because her life was aligned with whatever she perceived was that level of goodness or blessedness, she just ended up buying it, even though she completely forgot about, the experience, and all of this speaks to that question you asked me about earlier, right? There's a question I ask myself probably, let's see, realistically, once a month, probably once a quarter, I would say. It's right it's in the introduction of the entire book for a good reason. And the question is, I can't believe I have to have asked this question of you before. I can't imagine never asking you this question. It's so pervasive in my life, but it goes something like this. And P.S., I say it differently every time, but it's all the same energy.
Concept.
Right? So what is the most meaningful thing I can do with my life that would most greatly utilize the skills and experience that I've had, that would end in the most ridiculously satisfying contribution to humanity or to people or to my family, that would leave me inspired to get up in the morning, that would have me living in overflow of all things abundant. Now, people don't ask that question, most people. And they ask a different question. What will help me get through this life without too much damage? Like, seriously, that's what people ask. What would get me through this jungle without getting hurt too much?
Yeah.
And that is survival 101. That is the question one would ask if one wanted to survive this life. The question I initially gave is a question that aims you. Having your life answer that question, having your life be a life that consistently answers that question, me asking it quarterly of myself, necessitates that I develop skills, necessitates that when I reach a glass ceiling of my abilities, I have to find someone that helps me, because
That's
I'm
right.
a creator and I'm constantly creating. I'm constantly evolving in my beingness. I'm constantly evolving in the world. I'm constantly creating something new. What do I need in order to break that glass ceiling? Because when we stop doing that physically, biologically, because that's where my original studies were, our cells start to feel the death of us. It starts to, because that's what we were made for. It's just like it's like your parents at 91 years old going, are you kidding me? I want to see my grandchildren grow. I want to, all that kind of stuff. We're constantly creating our experience of life and what our contribution is. So that question, is what I answer, and is it taking people on the journey of how to answer that question in a profound way, and some of the major skills necessary to live that way. And once we start, did you ever find this in your life? Once you start living that way, or once you turn that corner, you cannot go back.
No, we're out of time, but I just want to comment. First of all, you got to get the book, guys, Unstuck. And I'll just share two quick things. I always say people don't know what they don't know, but once you know it, now you have a choice.
Yeah.
You could do something about it, or you could say, okay, I know it's there and ignore it, but then
Yeah.
that's your choice, right? That's
Mhm.
on you. So
Totally.
yeah, once the light is shown on to whatever that is, you can't kind of unsee it, right? So
Yep.
that's number one. Number two,
100%.
the first time I met Jen, oh my gosh, a couple of years ago now, Jen,
Yeah.
we've connected since
Isn't that
COVID.
crazy?
It's how we met. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
time flies. But the first meeting, she reads auras and different things. She reads the systems within you. And the first time I met her, she said at the end of our call, she goes, by the way, I just have a quick message for you. I'm like, okay. You never know what to expect from Jen. So I go, okay. And she said, you are on the right path. And I was pivoting my business, right, to work with small businesses as well as my corporate clients. And she says, you're on the right path. She says, you need to shift 10%. And I go, what does that mean? And she said, I don't know. You have to think about it and figure out what is that 10%. And it was funny because I was fighting working with small businesses and trying to figure out ways to, how can I do corporate? Well, corporate was shut down, man. They were dealing with chaos that
Emergencies.
Yeah, man, it was
Yeah.
putting out fires, right? They
Yep.
couldn't worry about me and
Yep.
oh, we have to train our people on sales. What? I
Oh,
mean, they were in
totally.
triage mode. So
Yep.
that 10% was embracing my relationships with the small business owners that I was blessed to have met and build networks with and all of these amazing things. So it's just really funny, guys. You have to, so that's my take on Jen.
But
She
look at you now and the full circle. You made that choice, right?
I
so
did.
that's the point. Sometimes all it takes is someone to see what you don't see.
Yes.
They don't even have to tell you what it is. It's just the awareness. They open the door and but only that. So here's the thing, Connie, that would only happen to someone who is even subconsciously asking that profound question that I
That's
shared
right.
with you, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. You said before you kept using the word curiosity.
Yeah.
And I live my life from a curious perspective. If somebody says something that I don't know about, or I've maybe heard about it, I will ask a million questions. I don't plan on becoming an expert on it, but I want to understand. I want to understand their perspective. I'm so curious about well, what's your life like and why? Why did you choose that? Why did you choose to work for a corporation? Why did you choose to build a $7 bazillion business? Whatever it is, curiosity, I think, is what serves us. And we have to be more curious, not curious by listening to the media or getting on Facebook. That to me is a waste of time.
That's not deep. That's why.
That's not deep. That's right. Curiosity is digging and asking and really learning for self. And it was so cute, your story with the pickup, the red pickup truck, right? She had manifested that. It just showed up when it was the right time for her.
Totally.
Right. So this whole linear thinking, we have to just look at it from a place of curiosity, and answers do come to you. You just have to be willing and open to hearing it. So I'm going to give you Jen's I love her website, by the way, because it's thewideawakening.com. And that's what we need to do, I think, as a world, is have a wide awakening. So it's thewideawakening.com. If you have an email for Jen, because she is a delight to deal with, go to VitalYou, VITALYOU @gmail.com. And you have a free gift. It's thewideawakening.com/3, the number 3 days, DAYS. And that's a free gift in relation to Unstuck the book. Yes.
It is a free gift in relationship to Unstuck the book, in that, in fact, it's me share the premise for the book came from the 12 days of awakening. And this is the first 3 days of it. Me talking in very esoteric terms about the book is very pragmatic and practical with lots of exercises. So it's the first 3 days. And the cool thing is, by jumping in on that, eventually you get to take a place where you can take, if you just keep going with the emails, you get to a place where you get to take it out of your own way at no charge. No kidding. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That
was the other thing I did want to say, Jen. You're generous with everything you do. You share so much wonderful content. You're a great teacher. So check it out. Read the book. If nothing else, go on the website, right? Thewideawakening.com. And read the book. I think you guys will cherish it. It'll be profound for you. And Jen, because of her scientific and her, goofy background, because you're a goofball too, just like me, and I say that with love and a compliment, because you don't take yourself too seriously and you share this knowledge and this information with us, right? At this very fun level of understanding, but also implementation. And the implementation is where the magic starts happening.
Hello.
Information is great. Right. But once we start applying it,
yeah,
that's where we start to see shifts in life.
Absolutely.
Jen, I love you, my friend. I always love hanging out with you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, we have to get out of our own way. And the book Unstuck, get unstuck, man. It's as easy as that. So buy the book. Hook up with Jen. She's a delight to have in your orbit. Trust me on that one. Thank you, my friend, for being on and sharing the book and just sharing all of the wonderful information that you shared today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on, and love you right back. And everyone who listens, thank you for being here too.
Always a pleasure. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together change, no matter where you are in this element of change. My guests and I, we really do have your back, and we really are trying to provide tips, ideas, strategies, books, right? The tips that question that Jen asks herself quarterly. These are all things that you guys can start applying now, today, as soon as you end up, clicking out of the show. Apply it, because application is where the magic begins, and change starts happening in a positive way, a positive trajectory for you. Again, thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I am truly honored that you tune in weekly to hear my guests and I share, hopefully, some amazing content for you to change your life, whatever that means to you. Again, have a week that is full of inspiration, love, and enjoy the journey. Be curious. I love that word for today. Have a great one, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.